Looks like we're reading text 17, 1:9-17. Tasmat, therefore. Oh, best among the descendants of Bharata Yudhishthir, I maintain therefore that all this is in the plan of the Lord. Accepting the inconceivable plan of the Lord, you must follow it. You are now the appointed administrative head and, my Lord, you should now take care of those subjects who are now rendered helpless. His grandson is calling my Lord because he's honoring the position. He's emphasizing, you're the emperor. That's the plan of the Lord. And now, carry on the duties that the Lord wanted for you to do. The popular saying is that a housewife teaches the daughter-in-law by teaching the daughter. Similarly, the Lord teaches the world by teaching the devotee. The devotee does not have to learn anything new from the Lord because the Lord teaches the sincere devotee always from within. Whenever, therefore, a show is made to teach the devotee, as in the case of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, it is for teaching the less intelligent men. A devotee's duty, therefore, is to ungrudgingly accept tribulations from the Lord as a benediction. Yay. The Pandavas were advised by Bhismadeva to accept the responsibility of administration without hesitation. The poor subjects were without protection due to the battle of Kurukshetra, and they were awaiting the assumption of power by Maharaj Yudhishthir. A pure devotee of the Lord accepts tribulations as favors from the Lord. Notice he's saying the same thing 3 times in one purport. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no mundane difference between the two. The shortcoming is we don't see the Lord as absolute. That's where the rub comes. In other words, tribulation is part of, on the one hand, purification. On the other hand, inducing deeper attachment. Deeper attachment because the covering that needs purification is blocking us. And when that covering, which looks like or feels like tribulation, arises, we're attached to the covering. No, that covering is my favorite covering. And it's perceived as tribulation. But from the Lord's side, he's absolute, so it's all benedictory. 3, ungrudgingly accept tribulations from the Lord as a benediction. 2, a pure devotee of the Lord accepts tribulations as favors from the Lord, and accept the next situation without hesitation. Now, supposing you don't know what the next situation is. Even if you don't know what the next situation is, don't stay stuck on feeling begrudging towards the Lord for the tribulation. In Yudhishthir's case, it was very clear. In fact, it was clear even before the battle. What to speak of after the battle, even before the battle. Krishna made it clear. I don't want. And it wasn't because they've done bad things. Krishna wanted to leave the world with qualified leader. And even in Duryodhana's case, one of Yudhishthira's arguments or contentions, he's doing a good job. Well, he's been harsh and so forth, but he's administering the kingdom. So he had skill, some administrative skill, but he was at heart dark. And Krishna didn't want to leave the world in the care of such a dark-hearted person. He wanted him removed. Now, Krishna can remove dark-hearted persons anytime without lifting a pinky. In so many ways. In so many ways. No difficulty for Krishna to remove someone. But Krishna wanted Arjuna, and Krishna wanted Bhima, and Krishna wanted what Krishna wanted. And so things were arranged. Krishna had to do some persuading of Arjuna. Please do what I want. But so the purpose of asking Arjuna to do what he wants, even if from outside examination or worldly examination or morality examination, war is bad. Killing is bad. And it's true, war is bad and killing is bad. So what about when Krishna does it? It's good. Because he's freeing the world from demoniac population. And the course of freeing the world from demoniac population, when war happens, there's some good population. There's the good guys and the bad guys. And the good guys also have difficulty. Some good guys get killed. Anyway, the worldly evaluation of morality and immorality does not apply to Krishna. In chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, this point is covered from many different angles. The karma, vikarma, and akarma. When work, karma, is performed for sacrifice, yoga, then there's no bondage. When work is performed with sacrifice to Vishnu, there's no bondage. It's akarma. Karma means work, and karma yoga means with linking or connection with Krishna. So Krishna's giving this teaching. And then the evaluation of what work is to be done. There's the morality evaluation. This is a really important point. If we can't understand this point, we can't live our lives properly. What to speak of understanding Krishna's activities in Vrindavan? How can we understand Krishna's activities in Vrindavan if the yardstick is worldly morality? I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed when there's a reading of Krishna's pastimes and Krishna kills a demon, everybody goes, Hari Bol! Wait a minute, that was just a killing. Hari Bol! Because it's transcendental. When Krishna does something wonderful, it's transcendental. Supposing Krishna, rescues a falling child falling off a cliff, like he did with Prahlad Maharaj. Lord Vishnu caught Prahlad Maharaj. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, when Hiranyakashipu's demons were tossing Prahlad Maharaj off a cliff, Lord Vishnu didn't show himself right away. Why? He wanted to see, what's Prahlad going to do? And he's falling. Is he going to scream? What's he going to do? It was a free fall. And then Lord Vishnu manifest and caught Prahlad. This is one of those, same as the discussion about the Supreme Lord testing his devotee. Supreme Lord testing his devotee. We heard 2 evenings ago, Tuesday evening, about Krishna testing Muchukunda. It's not that Krishna didn't know. Krishna knew. Muchukunda had no material attraction. So, Muchukunda, I've come before you because you had a strong desire to have my darshan. You had faith in the words of Gargamuni. So for years and years together, you were eager for my darshan. So here I am. I've come because you were eager for my darshan. Here I am. And you pleased me very much by your unalloyed devotion. So you ask for anything. And when the Lord spoke again, after Muchukunda said, I don't want anything. I just want your service and the association of your dear devotees. The Lord said, I was examining you. I was enticing you. So what happens if we get enticed with something, whatever the weakness of material affinity is, supposing that comes? In reading, it was really nice during the month of January, reading from cover to cover Giriraj Maharaj's book, I'll Build You a Temple, the Juhu Story. And twice in that book, he describes the test that he passed, because the opposition party that didn't want the temple built wanted to cause Prabhupada's main man, Giriraj Maharaj, to fall. So he made an arrangement that a prostitute was in the back seat with him in a car going somewhere, and the prostitute started doing her thing, touching him, moving her hand here and there. And the mind of a young man may have been agitated, and he didn't go into it in detail, like how far his mind went, but it was no. And he wrote about it towards the end. So an enticement. Now, the instrument of the enticement was a prostitute, who was the instrument of an evil-minded man who wanted the temple not built and defile the principal leader of the project, and he wins a victory. There was another, he doesn't mention in his book, I don't know why. Prabhupada spoke about it, at least I heard of Prabhupada speaking about it several times. His father, Giriraj Maharaj's father, was a wealthy man, very wealthy. And he sent him a letter saying, you leave the Hare Krishna movement, I'll give you $1 million. And Giriraj Maharaj wrote back saying, no thanks, Dad, I want to be a Hare Krishna devotee. Now, some devotees said, why didn't you just take the money and then stay and be a Hare Krishna devotee? Because he's an honest man. You don't say yes and then do no. And so Prabhupada showed it to or at least explained, I don't know if he showed the letter, to the industrialists of Bombay, saying, just see this man. You're after money. His father's enticing him. He said, no. There's only one thing. And that's the service of Krishna under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada. So those are two really big ones, money and women for a brahmachari or a conditioned soul. Allurement. So in our practical lives, not so likely someone's going to offer us $1 million, or a prostitute will come and try to entice us, or the other way around for a woman, some designing man, although it happens. In even in devotee circles, it happens. But it's the face of Maya. And what does one say when the face of Maya comes, especially it's your favorite Maya? And Yudhishthir's case, he is a good-hearted man because he's a pure devotee. Arjun, good-hearted man because he's a devotee. He didn't want to fight. Yudhishthir was grieving terribly naturally, because he's a good-hearted man. So many people were killed because of me. It wasn't because of him, it's because of what Krishna wanted. So when you start thinking in terms of material conceptions, there's misery. And when you leave behind material conceptions, and you instead, leaving behind material conceptions, you look beyond. That's exactly what's going on here in Bhismadeva's talk. No, it's not just Yudhishthir, it's the Pandavas and this whole assembly of great sages. And there, the assembly of great sages are deferring to Bhismadeva because he's a Mahajan. So if we're wise, we'll take the words of Mahajan and be guided in how to manage our emotions. Because that's the obstacle at this point for Yudhishthira, is an emotion of feeling really bad about the consequences. And so the path forward is, now that this is what Krishna wanted, and there's so many people without a leader, so lead them. Or, whatever the practical thing is going forward for us, rather than misfortune due to circumstances that are not pleasing, that so many people were killed. It's not pleasing. Or whatever else may be going on, and it may be not pleasing, but then what is it that Krishna wants of us? What is in his case, prescribed duty? His prescribed duty was be the king. So whatever our prescribed duty is, it's the same expanded of the same principle in chapter 3 Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga. Perform your work without attachment. And when you perform your work without attachment, there's no bondage to the work, nor is there the standard of good and bad by worldly standards. So it doesn't mean we abandon worldly standards because we just do what we think Krishna wants. That's very risky. But going back to the same message as the earlier verses we mentioned yesterday, theistic conduct, 1, under the guidance of qualified Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, 2, and 3, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. And adjust things in that department, not the outcome department. Make our improvements in the internal side of consciousness in choosing courses of action. Look at those 3, refine them, realign them, keep them in place. Don't become distracted, because when you become distracted, then what happens? An illusory conception takes over and something else starts to happen. And if you're not asleep at the wheel, you'll notice you're heading off the road. Or somebody will tap you on the shoulder and say, you're heading off the road. Oh. So having good association is very helpful, and being very open to the wisdom of good association. Still, we have to make decisions. We don't have others make decisions, but we have good association that can remind us. And when they remind us, we don't snap back at them. We try to understand what their message is and where the middle of the road is, and get back on track as best we can, given all the variables that life has in front of us. So the Bhagavatam is meant for several things. It means to purify, to take the message of Bhagavad Gita, you're not the body, and perform your prescribed duties without attachment, to a deeper level, where the conflict is, something we're not likely to experience. Not likely that we're being asked to rule the world, or anything comparable, anything close but directional. It's Puranas are taking philosophy and illustrating the philosophy in the course of worldly events, factual events. They're not stories; they're factual events. But the guiding principles of Bhagavad Gita are then expanded and elaborated upon in Puranic narrations, and especially this Bhagavad Purana, because attaining Krishna is at the center. Attaining Krishna means pleasing Krishna. Pleasing Krishna means attaining Krishna. Because Krishna gives himself to one who, just like our discussion Wednesday evening with Mukunda, Krishna gave himself. And he could have easily finished Kalyavana. No problem. He wanted Muchukunda to become celebrated in the world for having killed such an intense demon. Powerful Kalyavana. And then this nice exchange. So we may not see the bigger picture of things as we're going through life, largely because we're not omniscient, but we're also attached to the temporary. And when you're attached to the temporary, you don't see the big picture. It's invisible. But if we remain steadfast on the path of devotion, utsahan nishchaya daryat tat karma pravartanat, etc., we follow the path of Rupa Goswami as best we can, in good association. Purification, focus on the goal, and gradually the bigger picture becomes more clear. But in any case, faith isn't shaken by circumstance. It's not created nor broken by circumstance. It's created by sadhu sangha, some preliminary faith, and nurtured by sadhu sangha and the activities that one does with sadhus, bhajana kriya, and then faith goes on and on and on. And the coverings subside, and the awakened state of consciousness grows. There's ups and downs, but in speaking in general terms, the awakening of consciousness grows, and we start to see the big picture. That Krishna is very kind, even when there's tribulation. It's equal to the good fortune. It is a type of good fortune, the tribulation. It's removal of unwanted things, and these providing an opportunity for us to choose deeper association. Now, it's one thing to talk about all of this, it's another thing to do all of this, but life is filled with tribulations. If you haven't noticed, life is filled with tribulations. And now, how do you handle them? And how do you handle the emotions connected with the tribulations. It's in the Bhagavatam. There's ways to articulate and ways to enhance and so forth, but just simply hearing the Bhagavatam itself, even if even if one doesn't have all the nomenclature and tools and things, to pick up on all the subtleties and spiritual influences. Supposing someone is not so purified and not so advanced, that's okay. Continue hearing Srimad Bhagavatam with faith, because it'll carry one to that position where it can be more deeply understood. That's the faith of a sadhaka, and here discussed in the association of devotees. Katayantas chamam dityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. Okay. I think that's a nice starting point for some discussion. Let's see if there's some discussion.
Krishna Maharaj, I'm connecting to the discussion with lesson plan from chapter 51, that Krishna's check us, our intention, are we ready for Krishna consciousness? I was thinking like Krishna check us too in benedictions, and here tribulations are benedictions too. And I can tell about myself, in the at least few steps, in the starting steps, I never able to respond properly. I feel very disturbed with turbulence, and then I have to work it on myself, and then I try to accept it. So I always fail. So seems like heavy to feel that Krishna is, even though we are trying, and it's really difficult to let go, very subtle and very subconsciousness attachment, and Krishna is testing us too, seems like little heavy.
So then the question is what to do when it feels heavy? You're just making a statement.
No, question is that I want Krishna as a father to help me and support me, because I'm really trying. But Krishna is testing us too, so seems, and like gap, the liminal space, difficult to understand.
The two roles of Krishna helping and Krishna testing. For a theist, there's a starting point. And for the atheist, there is no such starting point. The starting point is, you say it in different ways, but there's a higher reality. An atheist doesn't accept. All there is, and fill in the blank. Material nature, laws of nature, and that's it. And there's this life is it. And eat, drink, and be merry, and so. That for the theist, there's another fundamental, and that's the Adau Shraddha principle. When Krishna sees that faith in him, he'll give the opportunity. He'll send his sadhu representatives in one's life. And then one can respond differently. You say yes, no, or let me think about it. And then if there's, by hearing from sadhus, just we're looking at the evolution of Krishna Bhakti, supposing we take up, you have taken up bhajana kriya, activities of devotion. And for every one of us, some greater, some lesser, some in this sequence, some in that sequence of time, there's eradication of unwanted things. So now when there's eradication of unwanted things, how do we look at it? Is it kindness? Even if it feels uncomfortable or more than uncomfortable, is it is Krishna being kind, like a loving father is being kind? Or is it that the kindness just went away and it's just tribulation for the sake of tribulation? The test part, the tribulation test, etc. part, is purification. Say it differently. Supposing one's heart was pure. Supposing one was Srila Prabhupada. And here comes the tribulation. It's an opportunity for such an elevated person. It's an opportunity to take deeper shelter. Not that he needs a prompt to take deeper shelter, but that's what happens when a great personality experiences tribulation. It's an opportunity to take deeper shelter. With, in one sense, like an adventure, how that tribulation is going to be worked out. Prahlad, tribulation, etc. Tribulation. So it's deeper shelter. And always, for the pure devotee, Krishna is there to give himself as the tribulation subsides. Let's take Sanatana Goswami. And the tribulation, Krishna, that's really nice. If you want to, I think you'll appreciate hearing Purijan Prabhu during their Govardhan retreat. It's 3 parts, and he's just discussing Antya-lila chapter 4, the tribulation of Sanatana Goswami. It's really beautiful. And Lord Chaitanya was examining him. And at the end, we know the end, the sores were taken away by Lord Chaitanya's embrace. But he brought him to the brink of, but his attachment to Lord Chaitanya intensified. He could have, I'm out of here. But he had all faith, and he had Lord Chaitanya's affection. In this case, it was Lord Chaitanya's embrace was the cause of his disturbance. But Lord Chaitanya wouldn't let him leave, and Lord Chaitanya wouldn't let him not be embraced. So, what the tribulation may look for us is different than the tribulation of Sanatana Goswami, but the principle is very beautifully illustrated. And the tribulations are an opportunity. Supposing somebody's not so strong in their faith, then the tribulation can send them the other direction. Then we could say Krishna was wrong. He shouldn't have put them through a tribulation that sent them the other way. But an opportunity doesn't mean Krishna did something wrong. We're making choices. So then the strengthening of bhakti is in our hand, and the situations of life are opportunities. the good and the bad and the mix. Or they say the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's opportunities, not just tribulation for the sake of tribulation. And when tribulation is there, the elevated souls, we learn from the Pandavas, for example, Queen Kunti and others, the tribulation means Krishna will come. Guaranteed. Stay faithful. Don't let faith be created or destroyed by circumstance. When it's intrinsic faith, the circumstance will enhance faith. And it may take, saying that the bigger picture again. The bigger picture may not be clear when we're attached to the temporary. Will not be clear. Seeing the hand of Krishna in things generally gets obscured because we focus on the temporary. Our attention goes, fix the problem, as if we're going to fix the problem. Then we do some service, and that's what we do, but not I'm the creator, I'm the doer, I'm the controller, and I'm the enjoyer. And material consciousness goes to, let me fix the problem, or throwing one's hands up in the air and saying something, I'm out of here. Or, go to the forest, or, suicide, or, some darkest kinds of thoughts. So the opportunity to take deeper shelter of Krishna and have those things that are the obstacles in life removed, that's what's going on. Read the verse and purport from Sri Brahma Samhita. I forget the verse number. Yastvindra gopamata vendra mahosva karma bandhana rupam palabhajanamad tunoti karmadi nirta hintu kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Krishna reciprocates with the bhakti folks differently than the Indra and Indragopa folks. He removes the root cause of material existence by tribulation. And the root cause is ignorance. That's what Krishna is doing. So you say fail, and I say, well, wait a minute. There may be slips and slides and so forth and so on, like the example Prabhupada gives in Nectar Devotion of a child learning to walk. And there may be some slips and falls as a child is learning to walk, but the walking capacity is there, innate. That innate faith, Shraddha, Adau Shraddha, will be nurtured by sadhu sangha. And sadhu sangha means sound. Sound that's received with proper orientation. Even if I'm not there yet, it's receiving sound with proper orientation. The more the alignment of the orientation comes or is directed towards that source of sound and the sound itself and the object of the sound, the more the purification will occur. And when the purification occurs, the obstacles are gone. Lord Chaitanya cured the oozing sores of Sanatana Goswami. And let's take this example. After Yudhishthira became king, he accepted. Likely, he didn't just forget his feelings that so many persons are without their husbands and their protectors, and the dharmic considerations likely were there, lingering. But his forward action was taking shelter in the form of the service that was wanted of him. Purification is gradual, and the method is sound, good association, and service that's according to our nature, are suitable to our nature, and prescribed for us, and that's the place we take shelter, pleasing Krishna, through that method. The medium of devotional service will teach us many lessons. Just orienting the heart to Krishna is to be pleased. And absent that orientation, that Krishna is to be pleased, the tribulations become something else. A painful experience that we don't like, and we want it to stop, and try to adjust things so painful experience is less, or it looks better, or perfume it a little bit. Making material adjustments is not the solution. That's the material program. So it's not failure, it's life's journey. However it moves forward, however long it takes to move forward, it's life's journey. It's interesting, it's just hearing Prabhupada use, the art of living. There's somebody else that is using that phrase, but he's not the first one. Something else? No? Online?
One question.
Okay. Read it slowly.
Amara Mataji is asking, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, can you kindly elaborate on pleasing Krishna means attaining Krishna? Thank you so much.
What does attaining Krishna mean? Attaining Krishna means, just as we've been discussing, the heart, or the seat of consciousness, is directed to that place of shelter, the object of love and the object of shelter. That's attaining Krishna. And when one is oriented like that, that's pleasing Krishna. So they're interchangeable. Pleasing Krishna means attaining Krishna. Attaining Krishna means pleasing Krishna. It's an internal consciousness, and there, even in that internal consciousness, there are degrees and varieties or flavors or etc. Just, to respond a little bit further on this, her question. Coming up in the end of this month is a seminar from my part on Manashiksha. And Manashiksha is Raghunath Das Goswami describing what he learned from Rupa Goswami and Swarup Damodar about the internal cultivation of attaining Braj, attaining the eternal position. Now, he's a perfected soul, but he's teaching us as if he's not. So, as if he's not, how to attain. It's a path of internal cultivation to attain Vrindavan eternally. It's an internal cultivation. There are some things, when the internal cultivation is there, that one will do externally, but it's an internal cultivation. And very strong. In Raghunath Das Goswami's case, incredibly strong. And so attaining Krishna means taking shelter of him. Taking shelter of him means you get his association, pleasing him. So it's internal. Although you may not see where's the shelter, where are the cows and where's Govardhan Hill, and it's internal. And when it's internal, it's Antar Darshan. Hari Parshad gave a very nice class on Sunday, the day after Nrsimha Chaturdasi, on Antar Darshan, seeing the Supreme Lord within, attaining him. Okay, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.